Your violence against women and girls strategy is indeed 99 pages long, and yet you've decided to just devote one page, plus a couple of very small other mentions, to female genital mutilation. Now, this is a very serious subject in the context of abuse to women. National health figures show that health professionals have identified 2,500 cases of FGM in London alone, and that's 50% of all the cases in the country. So do you think one page does justice to the weight and seriousness of a subject that you so rightly define within your one page as child abuse?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if I would characterise the entire strategy on FGM as the one page in the, as you called it, in the document. It's an issue we take very seriously, which is why it was backed up by investment, and why in the additional monies that I allocated to policing in the last budget hearing, we allocated additional money to FGM. I've also looked at the report from the Assembly on FGM, which the Chair, Janet Arnold, has done a forwarded, and I think all the recommendations in there are things that our policies are doing.
If you take it so seriously, Mayor, I would suggest it warrants far more than one page. Lots of other subjects had far more than just one page. Within this one page, I'd like to bring your attention to a paragraph in it. There's been a drive in recent years to empower the police around FGM and focus on achieving prosecutions. Despite this, you wrote the following statement in the strategy. While legislation has proved the tool to take action, many believe there is too much emphasis on prosecutions, and we are aware that some consider this not to be in the interest of the child, who may suffer additional trauma if the life of their family is broken up through the prosecution of parents or other relatives. I understand that since this has been highlighted, your office have been forced to clarify that this isn't necessarily your view, which I'm very relieved to hear. But do you actually think it was necessary to give credence to those thoughts on this one page containing all the information that you were going to give on FGM?
Can I find it astonishing if anybody was trying to make cheap party points on FGM or trying to mislead the Assembly? Because if you read on, it says...
Yes, I know, I've read it.
If you read on, it says, we advocate for enforcement action to take place alongside efforts which focus on prevention and encourage local areas to invest in provisions which support women and girls at risk of FGM in London. It also goes on to talk about the work taking place in enforcement. It says, for example, and I'm sure you're not misleading the Assembly, the MPS has our full support in seeking to arrest and prosecute more perpetrators. It's funny how you didn't read that bit on the page,
yes,
but you read the previous bit.
I can assure
Some
you,
would say you try to mislead the Assembly to make cheap points on FGM.
No, I'm sure every Assembly member that needs to has actually read the 99-page document, and I'm sure many of them cannot understand why there is just one page on FGM if you are so interested in it, which you purport to be. I've never seen anything like that written around domestic violence. One could quite happily say that some would say, ignore domestic violence because if you do anything, it will break the family up. But of course we wouldn't say that. It's too serious. FGM is very serious, Mr. Mayor. And to actually dedicate one page out of 99 pages to it without any promise of where we're going, we must consider that we still haven't had one prosecution and 50% of all cases are in London. I would suggest that you should be taking this far more seriously,
Well, Chair,
Mr. Mayor.
It's quite astonishing that this Assembly member holds the Mayor accountable for the actions of judges, juries, the CPS. It's quite astonishing, but that's what we expect from people who want to make cheap points on FGM. The reality is that our strategy talks about enforcement, tough enforcement. The subheading, which was not read out, again, by the Assembly member, was a stronger response to harmful practices, a stronger response. So enforcement is crucial, so is education and community engagement. Why do we know so? Because the Assembly, of which she's a member, told me so in their report a few weeks and months ago. So look, I appreciate the challenges there are for the Assembly member to make party points at MQTs, but not on FGM. Not on FGM. That's beneath even her.
Well, you're very often rude, Mr. Mayor, but you've excelled yourself today. My point being, It's your strategy, yet another strategy, let me point out, that has got absolutely no key performance indicators in it, absolutely no direction of where it's going, which actually strategies should. And my actual point, and I don't make it as a cheap political point, is the fact that many of us around this table think FGM is worthy of a great deal more than one page in a 99-page document. In truth, one has to wonder whether you wanted it in there at all, because there's lots and lots of pages on misogyny, domestic violence, and quite right too, but one measly page on FGM. Perhaps we should make that clear to all these associations and charities that are doing their very best to bring this to the attention of everybody. It's a heinous crime, and something needs to be done to it. And I would say, again, it's not a cheap political point. More than one page deserves to be in a document that is about women and girls.
Well, Chair, let me...
We will make America great again.